Grandpa Ken, that's me, reads old books. Kennemar video books, books that read themselves. Little Br'er Rabbit, anonymous. Nobody knows who wrote it. But the Hayes Lithographing Company of Buffalo, New York, published it in about 1890. Br'er Rabbit's skating. The ice is fine, Br'er Rabbit said. The wind blows keen and shrill. I think I'll take my Christmas skates to the pond beyond the hill. Br'er Rabbit took his Christmas skates and begged his brother Peter to don his coat and come along to make his joy completer. Quickly they donned their overcoats, then climbed the hills sedately to where a frozen pond stretched out 'neath trees so tall and stately. With joyful shout and merry laugh, they tore across the snow. They found the ice was firm and smooth, sparkling in sunset glow. "Now, Peter," good Br'er Rabbit said, and strapped his skates meanwhile, "you've got to be my donkey, dear, and draw me many a mile." Poor Peter thought this rather hard, but a cheerful rabbit he. So he put the tippet round his waist, and they started merrily. They started merrily, but soon poor Peter was worn out. Br'er Rabbit cried, "I'll be alone," and started with a shout. Br'er Rabbit cried, "I'll go alone," and started with a shout. With many a graceful sweep and curve he skated for a while, till bump, crash, thump, he struck a stump. Poor Peter could but smile. Br'er Rabbit spun upon his head, and oh, he was badly scared. "I think we'd better home to bed," he mournfully declared. A matter of habit. All the morning he rakes and hoes, then at dinner time home he goes. "Give me a carrot on which to dine." "Nothing," he says, "is half so fine." Some folks talk of mutton and beef, pork and veal, but it's my belief eating meat is a very bad habit. Carrots are best for a hungry rabbit. Manners. Mr. Bunny, when walking out one winter's day, was snowballed by some of the youngsters, they say. But he took them all home, and in a manner most grave he read them a lecture on how to behave. Field Mouse Farm. Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Cat had gone away for a trip to the sea. All the field mice of Field Mouse Farm were delighted. "We will have a fine time," they said to each other. And they did, too. First of all, they dragged Master and Miss Cat out of their peaceful sleep and harnessed them to a cart. "We will make you do some work," said the field mice, and they did, too. I have often heard of a dog cart, but never a cat cart, much less a kitten cart. But the field mice said they would invent one in less than 3 wags of a kitten's tail, and they did, too. So, if you don't believe it, look for yourself. They piled that cart with hay. It is true some mice got mixed up with the hay, but that did not matter. "We're all right," they said. "We can soon find a peeping hole and see the kittens doing some work." And they did, too. And they made those kittens drag that hay, cat, kitten, dog cart home. They were so tired when they had finished, that they went fast asleep. Fancy kittens working so hard. Then the field mice had a cheese feast and danced and sang. "We mean to enjoy ourselves," they said, and they did, too. In the midst of it all, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Cat came home. "Oh!" "We had better run home as fast as we can," said the field mice to one another, and they did, too. The wise bunny. There was once a bunny who lived in a comfortable burrow on a hillside. She was a very wise bunny, and took care to keep out of the way of guns and traps and dogs and foxes. So, while many more careless rabbits were shot or snared or eaten, she remained safe and well and grew plumper every day. One autumn, a young fox came to this hillside to hunt. He was a clever fellow, though not quite so clever as he fancied. He soon saw the bunny and fell in love with her plumpness. "What a good dinner she will make!" he thought. But he was not long in finding out that it was not easy to catch so wise a rabbit as this one. He could never manage to creep near enough to pounce upon her while she was eating her breakfast just before sunrise, or taking her supper just after sunset, for her eyes and ears were very quick to see and to hear. Then she could run so fast, and she knew so many secret places on the hillside, that he could neither catch her when he chased her, nor find her when she hid herself. At last he thought his chance had come. By good fortune, one morning, just after breakfast, as he lay hidden in a ditch, he saw her pop into her own burrow. "I shall soon have her, now that I know where she lives," he said. All through the day he lay in the ditch, thinking and thinking. When evening came, shortly before sunset, he crept quietly behind the rabbit's burrow and hid himself in the fern just above her doorway. "This fern is brown, like my coat," thought he. "So if I lie quite still, no one will notice me here and give warning to Madam Bunny. And the wind is blowing from her towards me, so she will not be able to smell me either. And the sun is behind me, so the light will not dazzle my eyes. When she comes out of her hole, I shall be able to see her at once, and to pounce upon her before she has time to look around." He certainly was a clever fellow. The sun sank lower and lower, the air became cooler, and the shadows grew longer moment by moment. Still and silent, the fox lay among the ferns, watching with keen eyes and ears for the smallest sign of movement in the burrow below him. And by, just before the sun sank out of sight behind the hilltop, the bunny awoke from the long nap which she always took in the daytime. She stretched herself and shook her fur. Then she crept up her long passage, meaning to go out to look for supper. But, being very prudent, she stopped when she reached the doorway to look and listen if all were safe. And there, stretched upon the ground, just before her burrow, she noticed a shadow, very long and black, which she did not remember to have seen before. "What can that be?" she said to herself, drawing back a little farther into the safety of the passage. At this moment, the fox, who had fancied he had heard a slight sound, pricked up his ears and crouched, ready for a spring. Then the strange shadow picked up its ears and crouched too. The bunny understood very well what it was. "Ah, Sir Fox," cried she, "go home and teach your shadow to be more wise." One at a time. When Mother Bear picked oranges to make her marmalade, she took her littlest, youngest bear to help her in the shade. She counted all the oranges and said with glee, "Oh, what a splendid lot! There are exactly 99 to put into the pot." Her littlest bear was mild and meek. His fur was soft as wool. He carried fruit but didn't speak, because his mouth was full. The oranges were very large and very, very sweet. How many dozen do you think the littlest bear could eat? One at a time. He did not share. He sucked them one by one in the shade. Poor Mamma Bear had just exactly none to make her marmalade. Rosie's Tea Party. Rosie, darling little maid, you don't know her, I'm afraid, but she's sweet as sweet can be. She took her dollies out to tea. Presently, so I am told, Mr. Bunny near there strolled. When to come to tea invited, Bunny said he'd be delighted. "What?" said he, "no nice green food? Plainly, nothing here suits my mood. Only milk and cream and tea? Those things don't agree with me." Off he scampered in a huff. Rosie stared. "That's quite enough. Next time that I give a tea, you'll not be asked," said she. The Bunnykins' Football Game. The Bunnykins, a football club, have started, so they say, and all the bunnies from their holes come out to see them play. The other day they had a match against another team. When Whiskers really kicked a goal, you should have heard them scream. They won the match by just 1 goal. So now, as you can guess, all true sport-loving bunnies wish the football club much success. And that's the end of this book. How sad. But we have more books coming up. This has been a Kennemar video book. Please visit us at kennemar.com or on YouTube at Kennemar.